Okay, so I said, come hell or high water, I'm gonna get a video out, and by God darn it, I'm definitely gonna do it. It's pretty late here, and this is going to be just a quick video to kind of detail the path. So a recap: what we have is we have these tables that we have set up here. Let me see if I can make this larger. All right. Good enough. Everything's fixed. We have the different tables that we said that if we were doing a SQL database, what we would need in order to get our feed set up. So what we said from last time, if you don't remember, what we would need is a user table, of course, to hold our user information. And we already have that. That basically has the user ID, the username, UCL, following table. Of course, they're photos, so a photo table, and then things like comments and likes, which we're not going to worry about right this second. Later, we're going to be actually dealing with that. So until then, just act like they're not there. We'll do something with them later. I wanted you to know that I am thinking about them, but of course, not right now. Just let's make it very simple. And I have to make a correction. So on the bottom of the video there was a line that said something along the lines of a Firebase join was called a once or on or something like that. Well, I lied to you. For iOS it's going to be the observe. And I will be showing you guys what that looks like. Also, to kind of clear that up, this video, like I said, is going to be pretty short, just kind of showing how we're going to take these tables and turn them into a JSON structure. So I've already actually done it ahead of time. Here we have Firebase, and what we're going to do is basically we're mapping these items to the items from this table. We have this user table. Let's just take this table by table. We have this user table, and the user has a user ID, a username, a photo. So we need to replicate that in Firebase. So what we're going to do is I have this user structure here, this JSON structure, and basically it's going to have the same information where, of course, this is abbreviated. You can add more of these properties, but for the simple, I guess, idea of this will do. So let's do like a side by side for this. So here we have our user table. I'm just going to pull this up like that so that way you guys can see it. But so here I have a record for her, me, and you. I left him out of this because it was just a little too complicated to try to do that as well. So here we have the user, their user ID, so her. Let's look at this her record here. Her will be saved under her username. Now this, of course, you want to make these unique, so you can either choose this to be the user ID or have Firebase generate an actual unique ID for your database. So under her, she has an email address, and this should probably be test3 just to make all things similar here. So her username, I guess I gotta change that to her. It could be her. So her username and her photo. So I've actually stored some photos so that way once we actually populate this into a view, it'll look pretty good. As well as I have me, my email. I'm just saying that my username is me. You could put this as whatever you want, but we're just going to say keep it simple. KISS, keep it simple, stupid. And we have you. So if I'm scrolling up, so we've checked out that. So we have this table taken care of. We also need a followings table, and these are in alphabetical order. So in our following table, the way we have this set up is that As you see, I'm following you and her. In this situation, there is no him, so I'm not following him. But here we have following. This would be my user ID here. Something unique to describe this user. So these all be user IDs. We have a folder called following, and it's just going to list all of the user IDs of the folks that I'm following. And we have, of course, photo as well. So in photo, now I've added a little bit more, so let's actually ignore this. But what we want to say is that we want to have a user ID, which is going to be her in this situation. We want to have a photo ID, and then we want to have a URL. One thing that this is missing is a time. And time is going to allow us to order these in some type of chronological order. And the reason why this database isn't like exactly like these tables is because what I'm going to argue is that this is not the right way to do it. So I didn't want to spend a lot of time actually creating this database. I did want to show you guys how to do joins, and this database is going to be used for that. But as far as our app, we're not going to use this kind of structure in our app. So I just wanted to make that clear. If you guys are like, oh, you just got so lazy. Like, why didn't you just make it? Like, where's the time? Well, I'm not actually going to be using this. I'm going to be doing this a different way, and more of the suggested way, and more on that later. And like I said, we have all our photos. And if we just go down here, we have comments, and then of course we have comments here. Comments, her comments for her photo 1, my comments on my photo that I have, cool pic, and then your comments. So basically, if you want to go the route of structuring your JSON database like a SQL database, which, like I said, I will argue that that's probably not the best way, then this is kind of how you'll do it. So in order to get some data in here, I've actually created is a way to, I'm just quickly loading all of this data into our database using this helper class called postloader. And postloader, what it does is it really doesn't too much care, just wants to make sure that you're signed in. So is signed in is going to be called from our feed view controller, and then it's just basically going to just populate this data. So nothing special about it. I'm populating data for you, for her, and for me, all in this code. And I'm not going to go over that because I don't think that that would be useful. But our next video we'll be doing is we'll be actually doing a join to get the user's information into our feed. Now, at the end of the next video, I'll explain why the structure that we're doing now isn't necessarily the most helpful, but I figured that you guys would definitely like to see how joins are done. So this, let's take this as learning how to do joins and not best practices when dealing with applications and JSON data structures. So I see you next video. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and if you have any questions, comment below.